in Israel, this whole strategy is known under the banner Israel Beyond the Conflict. That is the brand strategy, Israel Beyond the Conflict, because it is about taking the world's eyes away from the brutality of the occupation and focusing on that bubble of fun and sophistication that the security industry has purchased for Israel. It is about the bubble inside the wall. Now, it turns out that this is all just the beginning, that there's much more to come. And it also turns out that Toronto, which is why it is such a very good thing that we were brought here together, is going to be at the very center of this. I want to read you a few paragraphs from a recent article just last week in the Jerusalem Post. Now, if you're on Sid's indispensable list, which if you're not, get on it, you've already read this article, but I'm going to assume a few of you aren't on Sid's list. Shame on you. Okay, here is a couple of paragraphs from the Jerusalem Post piece. Residents of Toronto shouldn't be surprised if they soon start hearing and seeing a lot of references to Israeli wine, art, and music in the next year or so. The city has been selected by the Foreign Ministry as a North American test city for its rebranding project. On Monday, and that refers to a week ago, government representatives will be meeting with Toronto's top local Jewish leadership, I don't think Diana was invited, and public relations gurus in an all-day conference aimed at developing a test branding strategy and at educating the locals on how they will play an integral part in Israel's rebranding campaign. This is part of the attempt to create a brand, this is a quote, this is part of the attempt to create a Brand Israel coalition in Canada by exposing the concept to the Jewish leadership in Toronto, said Ido Aroni, the founder of the Brand Israel concept and the head of the ministry's brand management team. He also said, there are experts who have told us, first you have to resolve the conflict. Well, thank you very much, that's very nice. But what we're saying is that given there's a conflict, or despite the conflict, we can still improve Israel's performance on these other fronts of trade, tourism, and cultural connections. The article goes on. Now, first of all, I think the Palestinian solidarity community in Toronto should be very proud that this city has been selected to test market Brand Israel. Thanks to groups like the Coalition Against Israeli Apartheid, Kaya, thanks to and it is a fact known around the world that Toronto has played a leading role in putting the debate about divestments and boycotts on the agenda. It can hardly be a coincidence that Toronto has been chosen for this marketing and PR onslaught. Unlike Kaya, they have a $4 million budget. Let's be clear. There is no way to separate this PR campaign from the broader militaristic goals that I've been discussing. This is a campaign that is explicitly saying we don't need peace to have a good time. That is the message. There can be terror in the territories, and there can still be lovely vineyards and awesome beaches, a cocoon of normalcy in a sea of terror. That is the brand that is being marketed here. Now, this narrative of normalcy, once again, is not benign. It is actively anti-peace, because it is saying we don't need peace when we have so-called security. And this is the truth that Israel has actually perfected the art of being at war and pretending it's not at war, perfecting the art of hiding an occupation, pretending that it's not happening, acting like everything is normal. And the reason why this is so dangerous is that a desire to return to normalcy, and we hear this again and again, is in every context of conflict, a major incentive for peace. People finally decide to stop fighting when they want normalcy so badly. So what Israel is saying is, we can do it without peace. We can do it with the war raging. So that's what's so dangerous about this. And I want to be clear, there is nothing wrong with wanting normalcy. Everyone deserves a normal life. which is why everybody should have that at the same time. Not unilateral, one-sided normalcy. Now, so I think we've really been given our marching orders by this announcement that Toronto is going to be at the center of this campaign. And in confronting this, I don't think that there should be any hard and fast rules. I think the rule is simply that occupation, dispossession, ethnic cleansing are not normal. They're crimes. No matter how casually the Israeli state approaches these crimes, they're still crimes. And the only rule of thumb I think we should have is what I said is the title of the speech. Whatever you do, don't act normal. State terror may have become status quo, but there is nothing normal about it. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how I've sort of tried to reconcile this in my own work. And since I'm a writer, they have to do with books, which in this country is not neutral, as you've heard. Now, I think pretty much everybody in this room knows about HESEC, the Foundation for Lone Soldiers. And you probably also know that this is a foundation that was founded by Heather Reisman and Jerry Schwartz, that they've donated millions to this foundation. Now, what HESEC does is it offers help to people that they call lone soldiers, who are non-Israelis, people living outside of Israel, Jewish young people who are recruited to fight in the IDF. And they don't have ties in Israel. They usually do this for economic reasons. And so as an incentive to joining the IDF through HESEC, through the Lone Soldier Foundation, they get scholarships to go to university, and they are aided in the resettling process, or in the settling process in Israel. Now, as you know, Heather Reisman is CEO of Chapters Indigo. And so what that means to me is that part of the money, although probably not very much, of the money that has gone to HESEC comes from authors like me, from sales from our books, although I'm told more of it comes from Onyx, Jerry Schwartz's side of the business. But of course, the authors involved have never been asked whether we wanted part of our book sales to be going to this effort. And to me, the whole debate, or lack thereof, debate around Lone Soldier really points to how successful this normalization strategy has been in this country. Because the revelation of this involvement in this foundation, this founding of the foundation, got almost no media attention. It was really just greeted with a shrug by the media in Canada. And what's amazing to me is that it clearly was a direct subsidy to the Israeli military. And if we think about the way scholarships are, the answer to that is that it's not a subsidy to the IDF, it's just an educational fund. It's just helping young people go to university, and what could possibly be wrong with that? That was certainly the response of Robert Pritchard at Torstar when he was confronted on this. But what we know is that in the US and Canada, our militaries use university scholarships as a very powerful incentive to fill the ranks of our military, which is an incentive for working class kids to go and fight, that they will be able to have scholarships and go to university afterwards. So I see this, as many of you do, as a direct subsidy to the Israeli military, as an integral part of Israel's machinery of war.